Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. We have a lot of news this evening. First, we begin with Michael Cohen testifies. It started this morning at 10 a.m. and it is just wrapping up for the day and will continue tomorrow. Take a listen to some of that live video right now.
We have been watching this with the team throughout the day today. Really the first of one of the most dramatic set of hearings that we're going to expect over the course of this new Congress. Michael Cohen, who pled guilty at the end of this year, speaking out for the first time publicly about his time working for President Trump. He is a longtime member of the Trump Organization, over a decade of experience working there. What he said is that over the course of this investigation, since he first came under the probe of prosecutors up in the Southern District of New York, he had a change of heart. He suddenly felt that he had committed wrong.
Okay, and that is some video of ABC News digital reporters talking about what happened today at the event. If you want to watch this video right now, we will be sure to share it with you on the Riley King Network Facebook page after the broadcast. Injured owl rescued from parking lot receiving treatment. Let's take a listen to the video from NBC 5.
Out the door when it matters most. For more than a decade, he's been right there, everywhere. And when American jobs are on the line, he leads the charge. ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast, and we thank you.
I mean, you don't really get a call that there's an owl that you need to save very often.
Rutland police officer Amber Hoole getting that unusual call and heading first to this parking lot.
We couldn't find the owl, so we kind of drove around in the area.
Leslie Savoy was at the CVS parking lot, dropping her son off to catch the school bus where the bird was found.
The young lady that gets on with him seemed a little upset and was looking down, and so we got out to see if she was okay, and it happened to be that there was an injured owl there.
She was kind of nervous, not knowing what to do.
As I walked up towards it, it tried to fly.
Oh, really?
But it only flew just a couple feet and landed back down, and when it did, it was tumbling.
She put a milk crate over it until police officers arrived.
It was abnormal. I've never actually seen it. I've seen owls out in the wild, but I've never seen them in the city.
The barred owl was taken to the Vermont Institute of Natural Science in Quechee, where they did an exam, diagnosing it with head trauma.
Extremely common type of trauma that we see with vehicle strikes, with owls, especially this time of year.
Vince says the owl has no broken bones, and its eyes appear to be okay. For now, it will be staying here for the foreseeable future.
We could have an owl here for a few weeks with this type of injury, or it can take a few months.
And back in Rutland for officers Hoole and Placus, it was all in a day's work.
You never know what you're going to get when you come into work, so that was a good one.
In Rutland, Matt Layton, NBC 5 News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Rutland, Vermont. New Hampshire unsolved case file. Who killed Mindy West? Take a look at this video. Okay, and there you go on that video. Jackson man pronounced dead after crash on Route 16. Police say driver of other car suffered serious leg injury. Jackson police are investigating a deadly two-car crash on Route 16. Police said Joshua Fry, 39 of Jackson, lost control during a serious curve, skidded into the other lane, and hit another car head-on Tuesday night. Frey was taken to the hospital where he later died, officials said. The driver of the other car suffered a serious leg injury. Anyone with information about the crash is asked to contact Staff Sergeant Nathan Booth Bay at 603-383-9292. Boy, 7 killed in Hampton fire. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Ray Brewer.
They have now taped off the scene on Thorwald Avenue as the investigation into what is now a fatal fire is getting underway. Now, the fire at 32 Thorwald Avenue was reported around 1:45 this morning. Firefighters say when they arrived on the scene, the building was heavily involved. There was no opportunity to get inside and do a search of the building, even though one person was reported unaccounted for. The State Fire Marshal's office says there were 3 adults and 5 children inside that home at the time of the fire. And he said earlier this morning that they had recovered the remains of a young boy. The child's age has not been released. One woman was also transported to a Boston hospital. The extent of her injuries is unknown at this point. No firefighters were injured in fighting this fire. It also spread to a neighboring home and also a cottage behind. The cause of this fire remains under investigation.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Remains of World War II pilot identified 75 years after death. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
And he used to dream a lot about that he would come home.
And in some ways, Madeline's big brother is finally coming home. 75 years after First Lieutenant Burley Curtis died during World War II. It was 1 week after D-Day, June 13th, 1944. He was piloting a bombing raid when his plane crashed into a field in France. The military delivered a telegram to the family home in Holliston, Massachusetts. Her brother was missing in action.
But he died doing what he wanted to do, and he preserved life for us, the lifestyle.
A witness reported collecting remains back then and offering a proper burial, but it would take decades and a recent archaeological dig to confirm her brother died that day, finding his compass, coins, and his dog tags. Madeline will bring them to her surviving older brother, who was also a World War II pilot.
I have to give him that dog tag personally. I just have to. And there are 2 of them. I'm going to have one, and his dog's going to have one.
In June, the 75th anniversary of his death, Lieutenant Burley Curtis will be laid to rest next to his parents at a church in Maine, a spot held for him and for answers all these years.
even though 22 years he lived more and did more for us than some do 100 years, I say.
In Antrim, Jean Mackin, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man performs CPR on driver after crash, saving life. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
I happened to look up, and right where all that mess is over there is where the vehicle was.
Robert Merrill was driving in Salem when he noticed a car had crashed.
My main concern was to go over there and help him.
He pulled over and noticed first responders were not there.
I wasn't even thinking. The adrenaline was just there. I just yanked the door. We went in, unbuckled him. I grabbed him by his ankles, pulled him out, ripped the shirt open, and I just started doing chest compressions.
He performed CPR until the ambulance arrived.
It was like 4 minutes until they got there, but it was like the longest 4 minutes ever.
Once the victim was treated, a paramedic walked up to him.
He came up to me with a smile, and he said, "Because of you," he said, "this man has a fighting chance of survival." Yeah, I started crying because I knew I did something right.
Now Salem Fire is highlighting Robert's actions.
Tremendous effort and a tremendous job by Mr. Merrill to stop and do CPR and to help this gentleman that really needed it. Studies have shown that earlier somebody starts with CPR, it increases their chances of survival.
Robert says he learned CPR by watching TV and has used it on a family member and someone overdosing in his neighborhood.
The family reached out to me and, they're thanking me, they want to meet me, and I don't want to be credited as a hero, because the heroes are actually the first responders. I'm just a citizen that knows what he's doing.
Staff at the fire department do tell us the victim is recovering at a Boston hospital. They don't know what the future will hold, but in the end, they do say Robert did the right thing. Reporting in Salem, Kristen Carosa, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Wednesday evening. And here's a look at your U.S. stock market for this Wednesday evening. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the red and went down. Your Nasdaq closed in the green and went up. S&P 500 closed in the red and went down. Gold closed in the red and went down. Oil closed in the green and went up. U.S. 10-year closed in the green and went up. Euro/USD closed flat, and VIX closed in the red and went down. Dow falls for a second day on U.S.-China trade uncertain. Tech sectors snap. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and S&P 500 fell for a second day in a row on Wednesday as investors grappled with key testimonies on U.S.-China trade relations, Federal Reserve's mandatory policy, as well as a host of geopolitical issues. After meeting with Kim Jong-un, is Trump hoping for a Nobel Peace Prize? Let's take a listen to the video from ABC News.
I'm a dancer. Casting directors will send me a video of choreography. I need my phone to work while I'm on the subway. You see me streaming a video, trying not to fall.
There when it matters. Get $300 off our best phones, only on Verizon.
Well, I wanted to say it's an honor to be with Chairman Kim. It's an honor to be together in really a country, Vietnam, where they've really rolled out the red carpet, and they're very honored to have us. And it's great to be with you. We had a very successful first summit. I felt it was very successful, and some people would like to see it go quicker. I'm satisfied, you're satisfied. We want to be happy with what we're doing. But I thought the first summit was a great success, and I think this one hopefully will be equal or greater than the first. And we made a lot of progress, and I think the biggest progress was our relationship is really a good one. And as I've said many times, and I say it to the press, I say it to anybody that wants to listen, I think that your country has tremendous economic potential, unbelievable, unlimited. And I think that you will have a tremendous future with your country, a great leader. And I look forward to watching it happen and helping it to happen. And we will help it to happen. Thank you all very much. We appreciate it. And
Okay, and there you go on that video earlier today. Beyond denuclearizing and a transformation of relations on the Korean Peninsula, President Donald Trump, after his summit with North Korea leader Kim Jong-un, may be hoping for a Nobel Peace Prize. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. And I have a couple of news reports coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.